Welcome to the MLFF podcast with your host, Commissioner B. Jack.
Welcome into episode 8. We are quickly approaching the halfway mark of the season, and things will really start to get interesting coming down the home stretch. The trade deadline looms just under a month away, and now is the time to start pushing for the playoffs. There are two teams on bye this week, the Chiefs and Chargers, and there's also a London game this week. The Jaguars and Broncos play at 9:30 a.m. on Sunday, so be sure to check your lineups early. Let's get right to it.
Let's go! We'll do it live! Fuck it!
Jose defeats Rhino by 2 points, the narrowest margin of victory this week and the 26th narrowest all time. Jose set a 91% optimal lineup in his third consecutive win.
He's on fire!
While Rhino's lineup was only 77% optimal in his second loss in a row. Jose was mostly carried by Terry McLaurin, Aaron Jones, and the number one Cowboys defense, who combined for 64 points, 2/3 of his entire point total this week. He needed every single point they gave him because Tom Brady struggled mightily against the Panthers, while Cousin Dion was non-existent in Jonathan Taylor's return, and Michael Gallup never got out of bed. Aside from Mike Williams, Rhino's team generally underperformed, but Damian Harris curiously only got 3 carries in a game that saw Ramondre Stevenson go nuclear, and it definitely cost Rhino the game. If he'd played literally any other player off his bench in any combination of flex configurations, Rhino would have won this matchup. A combined point total of 195 was the lowest scoring game on the week, the 76th fewest points scored all time, and Jose's 98 points was also the least points scored in a win, a score so low it would have only beaten 3 other teams. This is a good opportunity to highlight the league schedule comparison tool.
Try my product.
An instrument that allows Jose to compare his schedule to any other managers and see that, at best, he could not possibly have more wins than he does right now. It's a tool that he will surely consult in the future before talking any shit to the guy who produces the league's podcast, the same guy who already beat him once this year and also leads his division. The schedule comparison tool can be found, as always, in the Commissioner's Note on the league homepage. Jose climbs 2 spots to 6th place, while Rhino falls 1 spot to 7th. Ben defeats Cody by 5 points with a 95% optimal lineup to Cody's 69.6%.
Nice.
The least optimal lineup on the week. Aside from tight end 3 Travis Kelce and Emo Benny with 24 points, Cody could not have fucked up this lineup any worse. Drake London and J.D. McKissick combined for less than 2 points, and Cody left a whopping 72 points on his bench. Justin Herbert's 22 points led the way for Ben, but he was still down 25 points to Cody heading into Monday night. With 4 players in the Monday night game, it seemed likely Ben would pull out the win, but when Hunter Henry, Tyquan Thornton, and the Patriots defense all sucked a fat one, Ramondre came to Ben's aid, finishing with 22 points. Cody drops 2 spots to 9th place, and Ben remains in 11th place. Dantos defeats Timmy by 7 points with an 87% optimal lineup to Timmy's 97% optimal lineup in his 3rd loss in a row. RB1 Josh Jacobs just keeps crushing with another 4 points and looks like the clear steal of the draft to this point, but it was almost wasted by Ryan Tannehill, who shit his pants with only 4 points. Josh Reynolds sucked, and Dantos once again started the wrong tight end, but mercifully, by way of injury, he has finally reduced the number of tight ends on his roster to 1. Timmy got burned by the Jags defense the same way I did last week, and A.J. Dillon appears to have been forgotten in Green Bay. But George Kittle, not Kelsey, finished as the tight end 1 on the week with 21 points, and Joe Mixon and the Olave Garden continue to be solid foundational pieces. Holding the head-to-head tiebreaker over T-Bear, Dantos climbs 3 spots to 1st place.
I'm the captain now.
And remains atop the East Division. Timmy remains in last place. Jake defeats me by 15 points with an 89% optimal lineup to my 94% optimal lineup. It's my 3rd loss in a row, and so the curse of Adriana Chechik continues. With 5 players on bye, 6 if you include Matt Ryan, I joked last week that it would be difficult for me to not play my optimal lineup, but where there's a will, there's a way. My 94 points scored was the least points scored on the week.
I shot myself!
But still more points than any other weekly low score. Matt Ryan can fuck off forever, and Romeo Doubs laid a goose egg and is a real piece of shit. He was matched by James Robinson, who also goosed for Jake, and is also a New York Jet now. Traded out of necessity when Breece Hall, Jake's other running back, shredded his knee and is now dead. Aside from Robinson, Jake's team all performed modestly. As the league's commissioner, I make a lot of sacrifices to ensure that the league continues to run smoothly and successfully. In order to maintain complete transparency, I must confess that I threw this game against Jake in the hopes of keeping his morale high in order to hopefully retain him as a manager within the league through this season and beyond. I will always have the league's best interests in mind, and my actions will always reflect that. It's worth noting, however, that there will be no further generosity towards him on my behalf. Jake climbs 1 spot to 8th place, while I remain both in 5th place and also atop the West Division. Gardo defeats John by 27 points with a 93% optimal lineup to John's 90% optimal. The win is Gardo's 3rd in a row.
He's on fire!
and snaps John's 2-game winning streak. The Niners' defense sucked, and Kyle Pitts is the embodiment of disappointment, which is why he fits well on John's roster. But the Sun God was poised to have a huge day until he was pulled from the game unjustly due to the new concussion protocols. Tyler Boyd went on to finish as the wide receiver 2 with 29 points. Mark Andrews put up less than a point while battling a knee injury, and DK Metcalf left early with a knee injury of his own, but their shortcomings were erased by Zeke, Juju, and the Chiefs' defense, who combined for 59 points. Travis Etienne added 20 of his own and should see a modest boost to his projections the rest of the season with the departure of James Robinson. John drops one spot to 4th place and falls out of 1st in the South Division. Gardo remains in 10th place. T-Bear defeats Spencer by 76 points.
That's a lot of damage!
Good for blowout of the week and nearly blowout of the year. It's the 17th largest blowout all time and T-Bear's 2nd win in a row.
He's heating up!
It also snapped Spencer's 4-game winning streak. T-Bear played a 94% optimal lineup and Spencer's lineup was 90% optimal. Led by wide receiver 1 Jamar Chase with 32 and Patrick Mahomes once again with 33. Spencer's lineup was dragged down by Leonardo, Daniel Bellinger, and Corey Davis, who goosed. His optimal lineup would have still lost by more than 60 points. Joe Burrow was the QB1 by far with 46 points. Eckler and Kenneth Walker, Texas Ranger, were the RB2 and RB3 with 35 and 32 points respectively. Raheem Mostert added 23 and DeAndre Hopkins was good for 17 in his first game back from suspension. To put that in perspective, if T-Bear only started those 5 players, he still would have put up 32 more points than the next closest manager. He did fail to play his optimal lineup, however, electing to play Alec Pierce over DJ Moore in the only move that prevented his optimal lineup.
What an idiot! Oh, what a loser! Good.
T-Bear's 188 points is the highest score this week and 11th most all time. And the 299 combined points makes this the highest scoring game on the week, good for 38th most all time. Spencer falls 2 spots to 3rd place and continues leading the North Division, while T-Bear remains in 2nd place and reclaims 1st in the South Division. Four and 3 John versus 5 and 2 Spencer. Spencer is a 40-point underdog against John this week, but that projection will tighten up once he picks up a Mahomes replacement. John has the edge head-to-head at 4 wins to 3, but Spencer won their last meeting by 17 in Week 8. Even after making roster adjustments, Spencer looks to be fighting an uphill battle here. 5 and 2 T-Bear versus 4 and 3 Jose. T-Bear is favored by 23 points and is 6 and 1 against Jose all time. They last met in Week 17 competing for the number 1 overall draft pick, where T-Bear smoked Jose by 42 points. T-Bear has a lot of green matchups this week. It could be a bloodbath. 4 and 3 Brian versus 2 and 5 Ben. I'm an 11-point favorite against Ben this week and 0-1 against Ben all time. Ben won our only matchup by 25 points in Week 5 of last year. Some B-Jack on B-Jack crime this week, but my roster is back to full strength. 5 and 2 Dantos versus 3 and 4 Gardo. Gardo's a 9-point underdog against Dantos this week, who leads the head-to-head series with 4 wins to Gardo's 3. Dantos won their last meeting by 30 points, and he gets Josh Allen back fresh off his bye, though Gardo's team has been resurgent as of late. 1 and 6 Timmy versus 3 and 4 Rhino. Rhino's a 7-point underdog against Timmy this week, and 2 and 4 against him all time. Timmy won their last meeting by 9 points back in Week 10. With a lot of red matchups for Rhino this week, this would be a good chance for Timmy to snag his 2nd win of the season. 3 and 4 Cody versus 3 and 4 Jake. Jake's a 6-point underdog in the narrowest projected margin on the week. With both managers at 3 and 4 in a matchup that projects to be competitive, this is Game of the Week. Jake gets Diggs back from his bye, and Cody's without Kelsey this week. The league payout standings. John clings to his lead for blowout of the year and continues to lead the most blowouts, but T-Bear has joined a 4-way tie for 2nd place. Jose jumps into 1st for League Pick'em, followed by Cody, Dantos, and Rhino, who are all tied for 2nd after John fucked up and forgot to submit his picks.
What an idiot!
Look at this shit!
That is it. The trading deadline is Tuesday, November 22nd. That is 27 days away. The playoffs start in Week 15. That's 50 days away. Do not forget to submit your weekly pick'em. A link to the form can be found in the commissioner's note and also pinned as a comment in the Discord server. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Just kidding. Eat shit.
Thank you for listening to the MLFF podcast.
Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live! And thing sucks!